We pick up with the man who is in third place overnight. Hugh Wrigley comes down to the little cabin before the first water. That was 7, the cabin on the mound. This is the far right-hand side of the water. Grey cabin, they'll cross a nice shallow line. Nothing too dramatic for the preliminary horses in terms of adjusting the line through the water. Their focus must be on jumping that lifeguard hut, exiting at 8B. Wrigley, F.E. Santos, one of the Fredericks equestrian horses. Fellow Australian, Clayton. He was the man who just was behind. It was 0.3 of a penalty, memory serves me correct. And behind Zara Phillips. Toy Town of the Worlds in 06 in Aachen. That was my commentary job. It was wonderful to be the stadium speaker for the Worlds in Aachen. Wrigley, F.E. Santos up in the bridle as they now run down back into the heart of Terra Nova. Expression on F.E. Santos' face, concentration as they just pop out over that little pheasant feeder at 14. This now is the rail box to Brush Corner. Ah, no, we're not quite there yet. I was ahead of the game. This is 13. That is a chicane. Not easy here, just identifying the points out on the course. Apologies. They twist and turn and just getting a visual. My first trip here, not always straightforward. But this is the man who will follow the Aussie, Mark Davis, Crocodile River, out of the starts. Had a very good day across country. Out to the first water crossing. 12th and 14th is Sorakaima and Carlevo, Maryland 5-star. Just a couple of weeks ago up on the east coast of the States. And behind Tim Price, who won that extraordinary 10-year-old he's got on his hands, Pricey. Kudika Dudevin. Ahead of a world-class field. Our river, nicely out over the Oxa. This guy, he's a warm blood, 6 years of age for Buck, owned by the RAF Eventing Syndicate from Ocala. Just makes his little turn in between cabin to corner. That is the third combination out on Mogi Bearden Muller's cross-country course and Crocodile River. Nicely away. And similar stamps of Buck's other horses here, i.e. compact, i.e. powerful back end. It's interesting how riders develop a real stamp of horse they like to ride, they therefore like to buy, they like to have source for them. It's a precise art. Any of us trying to middle deals have found out to our, well, disappointment. Normally, Buck and I were part of the deal that was Wonder Mask between Sharon White and Ronald Zabala Gertshaw. That's very hard to source horses. Whatever the owners or the potential buyers sum is, it's getting the right horse at the right time. So far from easy. Now down to the last fence, away from my horse trading. A little bit like Del Boy Trotter of Only Fools and Horses. Hugh Wrigley crosses the line, F.E. Santos just trots home. Nice round for our trailblazer for Australia. On the course, we're live with Alexander O'Neill, the new starter. He just drops down to the first of the waters. Gets in behind the horse just to try and make up a little bit of distance as he was backing off of the glassy water. Alexander then will come out to this Terra Nova barn awaiting at 9. Travelling nicely. I like this horse's front leg carriage. It's not too high, but it's energetic. Nice little half turn there to the far end. Alexander O'Neill going beautifully. Achiever nicely up in the bridle as again we see here. Having a real senior moment this weekend as to what the snaffle is called with the side bits. A Fulmer snaffle. I remember now, Fulmer it's called. And Buck Davidson comes home. Nice round completed. That is a good sight as Crocodile River. The 6-year-old crosses the line looking full of the joys of autumn. I wanted to say spring, but it's now getting towards ski time for me in Austria after a busy commentary year. As the lure comes down to early question versus water. What a day he's enjoyed. 2 international wins. And a man from Hereford initially in the UK. As the lure MBE to give him his full correct title. Down through the water and angles out over that yellow lifeguard. It's like a park bench with a lifeguard sitting there. I don't think it's too romantic on the bench on the beach. Nice little ride out over the Terranova barn. This is a lovely horse, Tullibard's on tour. This one out of Ireland, the Tullibard stable. Sport horse mare, she's 7 years of age, owned by Craig McCallum from Rockwall in Texas for Leslie. Sight of Alexander O'Neill, Red Tail Achiever. Beautiful galloper. Just around the back of this water. Source 7 years of age. Beautiful thoroughbred, owned by Eleanor O'Neill from Reddick in Florida. Alexander is based, not sure if that is mother or wife or partner. It's very, very nicely through that. Last combination, the brush coupe sat 19. Alexander O'Neill heads for home. 2 fences remaining. Red Tail Achiever has cruised around the course. Optimum time out there, 5 minutes and 34 seconds. You would think that pair will be nicely inside 520 meters per minute. My old Irish cross thoroughbred, he was half-bred. It was not an easy speed to achieve, but on a full blood, it's a different question. Alexander O'Neill crosses the line, looks good to finish. Michael Nolan, the Irishman, comes down SRS Picasso to the first water. Super clear show jumping yesterday, had 2 time penalties and a dressage 33.4 to line 10th position. Caught up a little bit of ground because of problems for others in the second phase. SRS Picasso starting overnight in 5th position into cross country. But now on course, 167, the new starter, Lee Fairchild. Gallops out of the start. This is Bustix Buster on the course. This combination about halfway, just under the halfway mark, 9th position of 14 starters. One down in the stadium was costly, would have been up a little bit higher, would have been in 5th place, but for that rail. For Nolan, arches his shoulders a bit, Whittaker style. Down between cap into corner, halfway round precisely. 11 out of the 22 fences successfully negotiated. SRS Picasso just loping along, no particular urgency to the Irishman, which is a common theme, such as their early prowess in the saddle. They're thrown on by mum and dad. Just get on with many ponies. Hunting, of course, is common ground in Ireland. And, well, I was a huntsman. As a young boy, loved it. And, I think that really sets the tune for things to come in eventing. As the lure comes down to the final fence, and it's a very nice round completed. What a good day he has had. Tullibard's on tour. Just crosses the line, looks comfortable. in the hand canter. Leslie is once again 57 years of age, once again proving why he is such a great champion. Fairchild heads across the sand out of the arena, awaits the Terra Nova barn. Beautiful big jump out over that one. 38.6 as we say here. This is another thoroughbred, 53 hands only. This is the new starter, Autumn Schweiz. This the crucial round of the Open Preliminary because Bamford CF is away. Could be a pillar to post victory here. They led the dressage, 24.8. No mistakes. Flawless show jumping it was yesterday. Bamford CF is away, heading down towards the third. Autumn with this horse at just 7 years of age. This one out of the Oldenburg stud book, so the North German brand is renowned for show jumping and dressage prowess. Of course, you can get the warm bloods, as we've seen with the likes of Fischer Chipmunk, with many of the top horses that Germans particularly are at home on at the top of eventing. It's a question of the gallop across country and the attitude. Nolan heads up to the last question. Just drop off the bank, down. Just need to balance in approach of these offset brush top palisades. Michael Nolan finishing nonchalantly here. The Irishman has had a very comfy stroll in the park. Now, will he be inside 5:34? Apologies for the lack of finishing information. I will update you momentarily as to the scores that are confirmed. Lovely round, though, for the Chestnuts as Michael Nolan crosses the finish line. I can tell you the sad news out on the course, that is Lee Fairchild has been adjudicated to have missed fence number 17, did not jump the ditch and brush. That will need to be clarified, but if it is confirmed, that will mean Lee Fairchild will be stopped out on the course because of a technical elimination for error of course. And yes, Lee Fairchild out of your picture has been stopped on the cross country. Disappointment for her, but of course that has to be done in the interest of safety. Not the first today. We had Swede sadly up at the Mega Mound also. Missing the corner. Can easily happen. It's always difficult. You're in the adrenaline, in the flow zone, and then you can just miss a fence detail. And when you're galloping on a big horse, it can just seem like a detail if you're in a really good mode and enjoying your round particularly. That, I think, is when those kind of mistakes are more likely to happen. Certainly the case for Lee Fairchild, who was eliminated with Bustix Buster. Autumn Schweiz trying to win the Open Preliminary. Has got a good lead here to protect. 3.6 penalties clear of Katie Malinsek, the Canadian who lies second with Land Jaeger. We're live here. This is 169. We just caught a glimpse of Leah Kilpatrick and Stella exit out of the arena over the Terra Nova barn. And our new starter, Jenna Rose Ortsmeyer, we welcome. Goes down to the second, the barn. Rose with Primrose out of the starts. Their score after show jumping, 50.5. They had a tough time yesterday with 4 fences falling. 50.5 the start score. 6 are out on the cross country. Well, that one and 5 more to come if you follow my slightly apt to confuse phraseology. Patrick coming down. To the Tricana, but we flip to the potential winner this afternoon as, yeah, Super Round Autumn Schweiz crosses the line. Cool round it is that is completed as Bamford pull down to a trot at the finish. Generose Ortmeyer swiftly turns through the double brush to triple brush at 6AB, makes light work of the first combination. 5 combinations out on this preliminary course of Mogi Beard and Muller, assisted by Captain Mark Phillips here. Second event at Terra Nova for 2022. They are flying into this first water, come fearlessly fast, but that is when you've got a really good partnership. You can trust your horse, of course. There was a little hole, etc. The team here would not allow it, but you just never know. I would always come a gear slower into water. But okay, Generose Ortmeyer is well out of the arena, out over the Terra Nova barn at 9. The new starter, 173, is on course. Zachary Brandt is away. This is MGH, Lalique away. One show jump yesterday. Zach starting on 45.1. There is the frustrating sight. Kilpatrick down in the ditch. She's got a bit of a problem here. Good. There was an exit channel there, but that is certainly going to be 20 penalties. Yeah, she's got to go back and negotiate it because she would not have gone between the red and white flag. So didn't see the cause there. I think little miscommunication on takeoff into the ditch, exited it, but yes, as I say, red and white flags must be crossed, and she's got a real fight on her hands now. That whip to a horse that's just had that experience is, I'm afraid, a useless tool. It's got to try, but it will not work. She jumps in now. I will readily swallow my microphone because this is impossible. Yeah, I'm afraid back into the ditch. So yes, that is going to be elimination. And it's a tough experience, I'm afraid, for Stella Patrick. She had to reattempt it, I suppose, but it was always going to be an impossible task. Zachary Brandt comes down to the first water. MGH Lalique climbs out over the lifeguard hut at 8B. Zach Brandt having his shoulders pulled a little bit stretching down into that Oxer at 10. MGH Lalique nicely through. First questions. Comes the halfway combination. It's the cabin's corner, 11AB, and the big grey just eases through there. Third last after show jumping on a score of 45.1. There's one down in the stadium. This horse, who was a bit fresh in the dressage, 41.1, his first phase score, but this mare, she's only 6 years of age. Owned by car register from Aiken in South Carolina, the other base alongside Ocala here are both the southern exodus points of the North Americans as they search for a bit of winter sunshine. Brandt just gives Lalique a little reminder down to the Tricana at 13. A little wake-up call. Generose Ortmeyer comes across the line, and a good smile is right across her face. Good to see. Primrose has completed. Rose, who hails from Rutherfordton in North Carolina, and her mare comes across the line. Good round it is, that is just completed. The new starter, away goes Alexander O'Neill out on the course. We have just two more then after him to leave the start box. This is Creative Genius away. They had 3 down in the show jumping yesterday, plus a little cluster, 1.6 time penalties. Zachary Brandt's big jump out over the ditch and brush at 17, which was a downfall, sadly. Combination, we saw into real problems. Leah Kilpatrick and Stella moments ago. Creative Genius, early part of the course, starting on 45 penalties with Alexander O'Neill. Zachary Brandt circles in approach of this coupe on the home run. Now we are live with Alexander O'Neill, his second ride of the Open Preliminary. Just now dropping down to this first water crossing. As the grey comes storming home, Zach Brandt punches the air, delighted. Trains with John Holling. John's had a very good cross-country day as well. And MJ Lalique comes home with gas to spare. Back to Alexander O'Neill now, comes down to the Terra Nova barn. Beautiful right-handed option, a nice wide fence for the preliminary horses. And now on course, the penultimate to start. Katie Malansek is away. This is Landjager out on the course. This pair in a very good second position, 28.4 the start score. Great clear in the stadium yesterday. They track down to the barn at the second. Big right-handed start here. Great opportunity to get the horses nice and forward in a gallop. We've done a few fences, I'd say 8 to 10 probably warm-up fences. Not quite sure what the modern method is, but that was what we would have done in my day. Didn't imagine it's dramatically changed. Andre O'Neill comes at a hot pace down towards the little brush. That is the shoulder brush at 12. Spey in a good gallop. Little run down, a couple of 100 metres down to this. Lewin Trakehner at 13, left-handed side there. Little funny shuffle on takeoff, but they are secure. Andre O'Neill still in a beautiful flow state here. Concentration edged above the Irish partnership. American partnership. I keep muddling the Neils and the O'Neills. America, I apologise. Now 177 tracks through the main arena. Katie Malansek. Landjager is bricked and away he goes. Mike Davidson is out of the start. Change action the start order. Landjager due to start after Buck. So we do have a handful still to start. Buck Davidson is on course. This is True Belief on the start. Sarge Straw here for Buck was 32.7. He had 1 down and 0.4 of a time penalty in the show jumping. Starting on 37.1. Andre O'Neill up the little mound to then drop down to these brush coops at 19AB across the angle. Davidson comes down to the first combination. This, the double brush to triple brush. 6AB. Sat down and rode a little bit in the middle there just to make up a little bit of distance down to the skinny. Leaf then makes feet up towards this. Have it on the mound at 7. Certainly looks very game for this opening water complex as Buck just gathers up the knitting. Crosses at again, attacking pace. Quite a deep spot into the lifeguard hub, but again, True Belief is, again, quick-footed. Thoroughbred, he's 9 years of age, owned by Sandra Powers from Palm Beach in Florida for Buck Davidson. The new starter on course is Leslie Law. Now, to my reckoning, this is the last of cross-country day. Must Be Cooley is out of the start. Leslie in 4th position over 9:32.6 with a clear show jumping round, 1.2 time penalties. This one, he's a son of SIEC Livello. It's a very good show jumping sire. The dam sire here, Kilmarnock. Malansek. Very, very composed out in the latter stages. So Landjager completing a very nice round for Katie Malansek again. The Canadians had a good day. As I say, apologies for the lack of scoring. Landjager was up in 2nd place on 28.4. Looked to my eye as though Autumn Schweitz would have been either close to the time or inside. And she did enjoy 3.6 penalty advantage over Katie Malansek. Assuming victory will be going to Autumn Schweitz and Bamford CF. But apologies, it is only an assumption. Like Davidson, beautifully through the water, turns briskly away. True Belief has been very, very careful. You can almost see with the top riders just tempting them into learning points of takeoff, as if to say to True Belief, look, when it gets bigger, the stakes are raised. You've got to be quick, front-footed. Certainly when you think back to Andrew Nicholson's brilliant career as well. Again, Andrew not afraid to run a horse into the bottom of a fence as if to say, look, you've got to jump from wherever your takeoff point is. Can't always be picture perfect when you get to the top levels. And I think that is what these top riders are educating their horses towards for things to come, bigger things in the future. True Belief makes light work, just skips through the brush coops at 19A and B. And Leslie Law to anchor cross-country. Comes down to the corner, cabin to corner complex at 11AB in a very good customary vein of form today. It's just all looked very easy for Leslie. Beautiful to watch, a former Olympic champion multiple times here in Ocala. You can really see the consistency from horse to horse with the greats. They almost kind of mould their horses into their method of going. Of course, they respect the animal's independence and his or hers desire to do cross-country in their own particular way, but I think that is again a hallmark of one of the greatest of riders, that ability to fashion a horse cross country. The Law pops out over the Dracana at 13. Must be Cooley still going strongly just over the halfway point on this course this afternoon. It's as good as image as I've seen today. The sight of Leslie Law running Must Be Cooley into a forward distance. Sees it early, comes out of thin air, trusted the stride. Of course, that is the lesson to the young riders. Once you do see that forward distance, do commit to it. Don't sit there a bit willy-nilly in the saddle. Great display of attacking riding, but out of a flowing rhythmical canter. And that again is the second message. Don't do that unless you're in a really metronomic gallop. Leslie now turns down to this angled final question. Brush Coops 19AB. Must Be Cooley has got two fences outstanding, and Leslie Law now starting to run for home. This has been a beautiful exhibition. And again, that one snapshot in your mind should be that attack stride into ditch and brush. It was beautiful. That's how to do it. And Leslie Law comes down to the final fences, the last of cross-country day here at Terra Nova for 2022. Must Be Cooley sighted his takeoff point, and Leslie Law finishes the day across the country. Very smart round to watch. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the last one home and dry here from the event at Terra Nova for 2022. We must say well done, a big hearty well done to the entire team here, led by Shelley Page, Max Corrigan. Thank you to the Herrig family, Steve and Natalie, Hannah Herrig, our president. It's been a massive team effort out on cross country alone, let alone dressage and show jumping. Fence judges, sector stewards here, the cross country control team. Some brilliant commentary from Jeff Morgan and from Nico Meredith as well on the loudspeaker. The team effort here is massive, and of course the vets, the doctors, they haven't been active today, and that of course is the genius of Captain Mark Phillips. Brilliant day cross country is completed, and whilst we prepare the final leaderboard for you, we'd like to say a big last thank you to our equine sponsors, to Beamer for the electromagnetic energy healing treatments they have. Thank you to Beamer for supporting the equine sport here. Also thank you to Bimeda. They are the biggest animal health company you've never heard of till now. Began in Ireland back in the 1960s, and Bimeda, their initial product was polyglycan. They then branched out into Confidence EQ pheromone gel to reduce and to prevent equine stress. And their current range includes the dewormers such as Equimax, Bimectin and Exodus. You can find details of all of their products on their website, that is bimedaus.com. The last big shout out to our corporate sponsors. Thank you to Engler Windows and Doors. They are the exclusive dealers here in Southwest Florida for Lewin Windows, leading brand Lewin for style and quality. Thank you to Ackerman, their national law firm here in the USA. 700 lawyers just here in Florida. It's quite extraordinary. They deal in high-stakes litigation, M&A, and transformative real estate developments. Kirkering Barberio, one of the largest independent accounting firms on the Gulf Coast of Florida. They've served the local community for now over 50 years. Tax and audit, niche areas such as outsourced accounting, estate and trust planning, healthcare advisory, and international tax consulting. Leibold Walters has a comprehensive legal service to both businesses and to individuals. They have been in operation for now 95 years plus. Leibold Walters continues to give back to the local communities that they serve. And B&D Builders, they are the dedicated builders here at Terra Nova, thinking towards the estates. Big project that is very much on the minds of the locals here. The championship golf course is in the pipeline, and Paul Azinger is the golf consultant that Steve Herrig is employing to advise him on what is hoped to be one of the top 5 golf courses here in the USA. That is all going to be part of the package for estate owners here. And very, very exciting. That is Gailey Enterprises. It is that will market those 5 to 20 acre properties on behalf of the Terra Nova team here. And B&D Builders will be building whatever property it is that you can imagine. Big thank you to Boyd Insurance. They are approaching their 50th year supporting the local community. Boyd offering protection for life with unforeseen circumstances naturally in mind to protect your home, your business, your employee benefits and other assets. Fifth Third Bank, again, one of our main sponsors. Delighted to be associated with Terra Nova and to support Terra Nova in all of its equestrian pursuits. Leibolds have got a big, big role to play in the superb ground here in Florida because their big 4-acre lake here, which has been used as both a drainage system and an irrigation source. They've worked with some of the top golf courses in the States, the likes of Pebble Beach, up in Monterey Bay in California, near Carmel, and the wonderful Augusta National Club, the heart of the Masters tournament, not far from our base here. Yes, you drive 6 to 8 hours north and you'd be at the Augusta National. Thank you to Leibold Irrigation. Lastly, thank you to Sarasota Ford. They've been in operation since 1995. Large volume dealership, and they have won the Sarasota Herald Reader's Choice for the last 7 years as a place to buy your vehicle. Thank you to them, and their details are on their website, sarasotaford.com. Just whilst we bring you that final leaderboard, we'd like to say a big thank you to our co-commentators today. From my side, thank you so much to Karen O'Connor, to Buck Davidson, to Daniela Mogel for the co-commentary. Great to hear from the best in the business. Karen, well, she's one of the very finest we've ever had in eventing. Karen Lender, she was still, as I said earlier, Biko, I think, my favourite cross-country horse. And that was the great big bay she piloted. Buck Davidson, thank you to Buck, and of course Daniela Mogul. Well, her career is exciting, aiming for the Olympics in Paris in 2024. And of course, the eventing continues here in the USA. I'll be having a week in Ocala, catching up with some old eventing buddies before my last trip this side of the Atlantic. Will be at Galway Downs International. That, of course, always one you can tune in live right on video. We'll bring live pictures from Galway. That is the first weekend of November. I'm going to see how Clayton Fredericks' course ride out on the west coast of the States. Do tune in, please, to Galway Downs. All the details right on video will be your broadcaster. And that is coming up in just a couple of weeks. We'll be underway at Galway at the start of November. Of course, exciting times for the entire Los Angeles area because of the Olympics that are closing down fairly quickly. 6 years it is now until Los Angeles 2028. And of course, a small matter in between times of the eventing, which will be held in the beautiful Park of Versailles, no less. Paris 2024 is getting quite close, and some big events in the future coming up both here stateside and in France. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your stickability and your patience. This is the final leaderboard of the Leibold Irrigation Open Preliminary event, final class across country at the event at Terra Nova for 2022. Our congratulations. Autumn Schweig Twins for the USA with Bamford CF, the winning total, 24.8. It's an impressive pillar-to-post victory, and it is a big winning margin, 3.6 penalties. The win. Katie Malansek is second for Canada. That is Land Jaeger, 28.4, and then comes the Australian Hugh Wrigley. Hugh Wrigley is third with F.E. Santos, 29.2. Then comes Buck Davidson. Great round from his little thoroughbred True Belief is 37.1. Leslie Law had a very good cross-country day today. 2 international wins for Leslie, and Talabars on tour. 5th place, 37.7. Back with another one, 6th place for the 6-year-old Crocodile River, 38.4. Leslie Law, and then the pair for Alexander O'Neill, 8th and 9th, Creative Genius and Red Tail Achiever. And our top 10 completed by Ireland's Michael Nolan and SRS Picasso. So for the final time, it is goodbye from a beautiful afternoon here, late October, from the event at Terra Nova in 2022. It is goodbye from the entire team here. We hope you've enjoyed the action. Of course, exciting to see how this great facility, with the great guidance of the likes of the Herrick family, assisted by Shelley Page, Max Corrigan, our event directors, where this event can go in years to come. It's an exciting project that certainly has pricked the imaginations of all of us that have been here for the first time. For myself, Ed Holloway, it's been a pleasure. Once again, thank you for your company. We will see you next time.